Hello, welcome back to the second part of this video. Remember, in the first part, we treated how to answer comprehension questions, and we treated how to answer interrogative questions. Under interrogative questions, we laid emphasis on what questions. Then after that, we looked at questions that our answers are clearly stated in the passage. After that, we look at inference and implied questions. And then we look at evidence questions and the attitude questions. So now we're going to look at how to answer quotation questions. I'm going to take my examples from WASE June 2016 and November 2012. Now, in a passage, you may be asked to quote a phrase or a sentence to support your answer. Quote means to write something verbatim. If it's a sentence, it should start with a quotation mark and end with a quotation mark. When there is part of words that will be left out, you put ellipsis, that is 3 dots. But if it's at the end, you still put 3 dots. That 3 dots means that something was left out before you write the particular phrase you want to write. Let us look at the example from question of 2016. Quote a phrase to show that the teacher's house is close to the writer's house. The answer in that passage is a stone's throw from ours. You can see that I started with quotation mark, put my ellipsis, then put down the phrase and end with a quote. But in a case where you are asked to quote a sentence, you have to start with quotation mark and end with a quotation mark. Please remember that when you start with a single quotation mark, you end with a single quotation mark. If you start with double, you end with double. For the sentence, we have, she is one of the most notorious swindlers around. If you have that passage, go and read it. You will understand it. Then the next one is word in quote questions. A writer may be asked to write why a word is written in quote in a passage. For example, let me read this excerpt out. After a long day work, the doctor retired for the day. He wanted to go home, but remembered that he was not wearing his eyeglasses. He looked for it, but could not find it. He managed to drive home meticulously. When he got home, he couldn't find it. He brought out the abandoned pair to manage until his visit to the optometrist. His face couldn't welcome the second pair. He couldn't forgive himself because he had been wearing the lost pair all this while. You can see that the lost is written in quotes. And why is it in quote? Because it is not used in its true sense, or the glasses is not actually lost. That is why it's in quote. You will see it in also WASE 2021. So whenever you see a word in quote, please look at it and know how to answer it. The word is not used in its true sense. Then we look at ironical questions. We have in the passage whereby you'll be asked, what is the irony of so? Ironical questions shows that something is opposite of one's expectation. In answering questions on irony, the two sides of the event must be captured. For example, we held our inter-house sports today. In 100 meters dash, 3 students emerged winners, first, second, and third positions. On the table were 3 gifts of different sizes. The third position was given the biggest wrapped gift. The second position received a smaller package, while the first position got the smallest package. The winner showed his displeasure while collecting the tiny wrapped gift. He opened the gift and jumped up in happiness because the tiny wrapped gift was a diamond. The question is, what is ironical in the content of the gift? So you have to make sure you bring the 2 parts before you answer it. You cannot just answer it directly. You bring the first part and second part of the event. The gift, which was perceived as very small, turned out to be the most valuable. That is what is ironical there. You can also see question on irony in June 2022. Now, questions on state of the mind of the writer. At times, you may be asked to write the state of the mind of the writer. And what we're talking about here is the mood of the writer while writing the story. How do you know the mood? The mood shows in choice of words. When a writer is happy with the event in a story, the word will show excitement, while it shows regret, lamentation, agony, hatred when things are not going well. So you know the mood of the writer or the state of mind of the writer by his choice of words. Questions on figures of speech and literary device. Figures of speech are expressions that are not literal. They include metaphor, simile, personification, euphemism, rhetorical questions. At times, candidates are required to give the meaning, especially in metaphor. The understanding of the passage will help to interpret the meaning. For example, in Wase 2018, we have, he showed a clean pair of heels. In 2017, we have, I had stirred up a hornet's nest and should be prepared for the sting. Then in 2016, we have like the wind. The first one, 2018, that's a metaphor. 2017, that's a metaphor. 2018, that's a simile. Then we have questions on grammatical name and function. Here, the candidate is expected to have a good knowledge of phrases and clauses. The major types are noun phrases and clauses, adverbial phrases and clauses, adjectival phrases and clauses. Candidates are expected to study the sentence to answer the questions correctly. For example, in 2016, he raised an instant alarm. An instant alarm is underlined. Now, you'll be asked what the grammatical name and the grammatical function. An instant alarm, that's a noun phrase. The grammatical function, it is the object of the verb raised. The verb is optional, that is why it is in brackets. Now, the pronoun it is important because it replaces the subject, noun phrases. So if that it is omitting, you'll be penalized, probably minus half a mark. Then the verb being modified should be written in quotes. Begin with single quotation mark, end with single quotation mark, begin with double quotation mark, end with double quotation mark. Any of these omissions can be penalized. Word substitution questions. Here you are given either 5 or 6 words which are already underlined in the passage for Wase or written in italics in case it's SSCE, the one we call NECO. The candidates are expected to replace the words with another word without altering the meaning. Attention should be paid to word class. That is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adverb? Is it an adjective? Attention should be paid to that. Is it a tense? Is it present or past? You should also pay attention to number. Is it singular? Is it plural? Then the contextual meaning. Don't just go and put word there anyhow. Or don't say that I know the meaning of this word, therefore it should be this. No, take that word, insert it there and read the sentence and make sure the meaning is not altered. When you have done this, you pick one word that you know that is the correct answer and write there. Please avoid writing 2 or 3 words because any correct and incorrect is incorrect. Correct answer and incorrect answer is incorrect. It's assumed that you are guessing. However, when the 2 words are correct, you still get your mark. But I advise you to just write 1 word. Now let's look at the example taken from May, June 2016. We believe that the teacher would not be home that weekend. My father has strictly warned us not to go out at night since recent happenings had shown that it was unsafe. However, the thought of those mouth-watering fruits in the teacher's compound made us spend many sleepless nights. We decided that fateful night to sneak out and get some delicious mangoes to feast on. Towards midnight, my two cousins and I crept stealthily out of the house. If you look at this excerpt, you see that recent, delicious, and stealthily are underlined. And when you look at it, the first one is recent. What class is it? It's an adjective. It's also in present tense. You look at the word that we substitute, you have current. You can see since current happenings or since latest happenings. The meaning is not lost. The meaning is not altered. Then the second one is delicious. That is an adjective too. You see, you can put sweet, get some sweet mangoes, get some tasty mangoes. The meaning is not lost. Then the last one is stealthily. That is an adverb. And you replace it with crept secretly, crept quietly. Two of them are also adverbs. The meaning is not lost. So please pay attention to word class, tense, number, and contextual meaning. It's very, very important. Now, like I said in my introduction, that we're also going to look at marking guide to enable you know what to embrace and what to avoid. So let us look at the marking guide together. The first one is deduct half a mark for any grammatical errors at each scoring point. Here, the grammatical errors we look at here, they are mainly tenses. For example, you should pay attention to the tense of the question. If the tense of the question is present, that means your answer will be in present. For example, if you say, how is the man able to find out the reason for whatever that happened? The verb there is. Therefore, in answering it, you should also capture it with present tense. But if it was, you capture the answer in past tense to avoid the grammatical errors. The next one is where a candidate gives two answers to a question and one of them is wrong, award 0. If, however, both answers are correct, award full marks. Correct answer and incorrect answer is equals to incorrect, 0. I've explained that before. Where words, expressions are expected to be given to replace words, expression in the passage, they must fit in perfectly, otherwise, award 0. They must fit in perfectly. The meaning must not be altered. Answers need not be written in sentences unless otherwise stipulated. Please, in comprehension, your answer must not be in a sentence form. It could be a group of words. It could be a word. For example, in 2019, the passage I explained in the first part of the video about Adamu, the question there is, state 2 major types of jobs Adamu engaged in to support himself. With this question, you can say farming, carpentry, craft. They are correct, even though it's just one word. It could be a group of words. An answer taken as a whole must make sense before any part of it may be accepted for scoring. This is telling us that we don't mark in isolation. Both the question and the answer must make sense before you are marked correct. Now, we have come to the end of this video. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe, like, share. Thank you.